Maybe this can still be a lesson. The entire neighborhood stared in silence. Even Agent Alvarez looked surprised. Karen looked up, confused. "You're not pressing charges?" He shook his head. "You may not believe it, but I don't want to see anyone fall. I've seen too much of that already." "But she hit you," someone shouted from the crowd. "She's hurting," he said quietly. "Doesn't make it right. But I'd rather she learn something today than end up behind bars." Karen looked down, embarrassed, but not exactly sorry yet. Officer Daniels paused, then gave Mr. Thomas a small nod. "If you change your mind, we have it all on tape. Let us know." She walked back to her car, followed by the agents, leaving Karen sitting on the grass. The neighbors slowly began to go back into their homes. Some shook their heads. Others walked by Mr. Thomas and patted his shoulder. "You didn't have to do that," Greg from the hardware store said. "She deserved to be cuffed." "I've seen enough people locked away in my time," Mr. Thomas said. "Sometimes, the better victory is grace." He walked slowly back to his porch, sat down, and picked up a book. Karen stayed on the grass for a long time. But of course, this wasn't the end. The very next day, Karen sent out an emergency HOA email. It was titled, "Reclaiming Order, How I Was Framed." In the email, she claimed Mr. Thomas set her up, that the government agents were actors, and that the neighborhood had been manipulated by fake patriotism. People were stunned. Some responded with shock. Others replied with laughter. One person simply wrote, "Karen, sit down." Still, she wouldn't stop. She started putting flyers on doors. "Mr. Thomas is not who you think," they read. She even held a community meeting in her backyard. Only 3 people came. One was her cousin, and the other 2 just wanted free cookies. Meanwhile, something strange began happening. Mr. Thomas's porch was getting gifts. Small ones at first. A cup of coffee from the corner cafe. A card that said, "Thank you for your service." Then a banner that read, "Maple Ridge loves our veterans." The whole neighborhood began changing. Kids came by to hear stories. Teens asked him to speak at their schools. Even the mayor visited once to shake his hand. Karen watched from her window, furious. She had lost control. The rules she clung to so tightly didn't matter anymore. The power she had from fear and fines was gone, and she hated it. One afternoon, a moving truck pulled into the driveway next to Mr. Thomas's house. A young couple was moving in. Mr. Thomas walked over to help, lifting boxes with his old arms like they were feathers. Karen, arms crossed, walked up and scowled. "You're not allowed to help people move. It's not your business." The couple looked confused. "It's okay," Mr. Thomas said kindly. "She just has trouble letting go." But Karen snapped back. "You're not the hero people think you are." She pulled out a folder. "I found this online," she shouted, waving a printed article. "You're not even a real war hero. You didn't win that medal. Your unit did." People began gathering again. Greg, who had just pulled into his driveway, walked over. "Karen, what are you doing now?" "I'm exposing a fraud," she shouted. "He's been fooling everyone." The article was real but misleading. Mr. Thomas had served in that decorated unit. The medal had been given to the team, but he never claimed it was just his. Karen, desperate, had twisted the facts. Someone in the crowd said, "Karen, this is just sad." But then, Karen did something no one expected. She stormed over to Mr. Thomas's porch and ripped down the American flag hanging from it. Gasps filled the air. "Karen!" someone shouted. She held the flag in one hand, her eyes wild. "This doesn't belong here anymore," she shrieked. "This is my neighborhood." Mr. Thomas stood slowly from his chair, his eyes on the torn flag now crumpled in her hands. The air felt heavier than before. She had gone too far. Way too far. And this time, someone was going to call the police. Again. Karen stood on Mr. Thomas's porch, gripping the crumpled American flag like it was just another piece of trash. Her breathing was heavy, her face red. Not from shame, but from rage. "I said," she repeated loudly, "this flag does not belong here." Mr. Thomas didn't move. He didn't yell. He didn't reach for the flag. He just stared at her, as calm as a mountain. The neighborhood wasn't quiet anymore. The crowd that had gathered the first time was already growing again. Kids on scooters stopped in their tracks. Cars slowed down. Phones were raised. This time, everyone was recording. "Karen," said Greg, stepping forward, "put the flag down. You've really lost it." She turned to him, furious. No, don't you people see? He's brainwashed all of you. This man is manipulating this entire neighborhood. Then she ripped the flag in half. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Someone screamed. Others couldn't even speak. Mr. Thomas flinched, but not because of the flag. Because of what it meant. I've had to fold that flag over coffins, he whispered. And you rip it like wrapping paper. Karen froze for a second. Maybe the weight of his words sank in. Maybe not. But that second was enough for someone else to act. Officer Daniels returned. Apparently, someone had already called the station as soon as Karen raised her voice. But when she saw the flag, torn, crumpled in Karen's hand, her jaw tensed. She walked straight toward the porch. Ma'am, she said, I gave you a chance, but you just crossed the line again. Karen looked stunned. It's just a flag. Not in this context, Daniels said. Not on federal property. Not after what you did last week. And especially not to someone under protection by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Karen opened her mouth to argue, but this time Daniels didn't ask. She took out her handcuffs. No, Karen screamed, backing up. This isn't happening. I'm not going to jail because some old man pulled a pity trick on everyone. The officer moved forward. Karen Thompson, you are under arrest for destruction of federal property, harassment, and continued violation of a no-contact order. No-contact order? Someone whispered in the crowd. Apparently that part had gone through. After the slap, the agents had filed a quiet motion to limit Karen's approach to Mr. Thomas. Karen screamed again. This is a setup. You're all sheep. You're HH. She tried to run, but she didn't get far. Duchess, her tiny dog, darted into her path. She tripped, fell face first into Mr. Thomas's rose bushes, and landed with a loud thump. The crowd gasped. Greg muttered, "Instant karma," as Officer Daniels gently pulled her out of the bushes. Thorns stuck in her sweater and hair. Karen kicked and flailed. This neighborhood belongs to me. Me. But no one believed that anymore. She was placed in the cruiser and driven away, for real this time. As the car rolled down the street, everyone slowly turned back toward Mr. Thomas, who was now picking up the torn pieces of the flag. A small boy named Kevin walked up quietly. "Can it be fixed?" he asked softly. Mr. Thomas smiled, even though his eyes were moist. "It can always be fixed." He folded the torn halves gently, like he was handling something sacred. That night, the neighborhood stayed unusually quiet. Even the crickets were hushed. The next morning, Mr. Thomas woke up early and started sweeping his porch like he always did. A small package was sitting on his doorstep. Inside was a brand new flag. No note, just the stars and stripes, folded perfectly. He hung it up without saying a word. The next few days were peaceful. Karen was gone, held for questioning and psychological evaluation. Her husband Steve didn't say much. He mostly stayed indoors, occasionally watering her flowers with a blank look on his face. The HOA board called an emergency vote and removed Karen as president. Greg was named interim chair. One by one, neighbors approached Mr. Thomas with apologies. "I should have spoken up earlier," one said. "I thought she was just annoying. I didn't know she'd get dangerous," said another. But Mr. Thomas just smiled. Better late than never. He didn't hold grudges. Not even when he had every right to. Even Officer Daniels, who came by to check on him, said, "You've got more patience than anyone I know." He nodded. Sometimes the best way to win is to not play their game. But peace didn't last forever. 1 week later, Steve, Karen's husband, came to visit. He looked older somehow, tired, a bit broken. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry," he said, "for everything. She's not, well, and I should have done something sooner." Mr. Thomas offered him a seat. The two men sat for a long time, not saying much. Finally, Steve said, "She's being released soon, probably next week." Mr. Thomas raised an eyebrow. "So soon?" "Yeah," Steve nodded. "They said it wasn't enough to hold her longer. She's going to therapy now, but I'm worried." Mr. Thomas sighed. "Let's just hope she's learning something." But that hope was short-lived. Because 3 days later, just before dawn, someone crept through the neighborhood wearing all black. Security camera footage later showed a figure crouching near Mr. Thomas's house. And at 4:12 a.m., boom, a loud, sharp explosion rang through the neighborhood. Mr. Thomas's mailbox had been blown to pieces. Bits of metal and ash littered his yard. The fire department came quickly. No one was hurt, but the message was clear. Someone wasn't finished. And the only person everyone could think of was Karen. The mailbox was completely destroyed. Its twisted metal pieces scattered across the lawn like a puzzle of violence. Smoke still floated in the air as the fire department carefully checked for remaining sparks. Police tape wrapped around Mr. Thomas's yard. Red and blue lights painted the homes of Maple Ridge again. By sunrise, the whole neighborhood was buzzing. "Did you hear that explosion? I thought it was a car backfiring. But then I saw the smoke. Do you think it was her?" Everyone knew who her meant. Karen. Steve stood by the sidewalk, his face pale, eyes wide. She couldn't have.